Okay, it's time for another Friday night movie recommendation. I've got my notes here. Just pop that up. There we go. You might see me reading those from time to time. Okay, so the movie I'm going to recommend this week is one of my personal favorite cult films called Dark Star. It came out in 1974, and it was John Carpenter's first movie. It was actually a student film that somebody saw the potential behind this film and gave it some backing and turned it into a full-length feature. Now, flashback to 1974. 1974 is when Richard Nixon resigned because of the political scandal caused by the Watergate scandal. Can you imagine that? A president resigning because he was suspected of criminal activity. I don't know, it seems kind of quaint now, doesn't it? This was also the year that Muhammad Ali and George Foreman did the Rumble in the Jungle. Rumble in the Jungle. Boy, I am just tripping over my own words tonight. Okay. It was also the year that Stephen King came out with his debut novel, Carrie. Another fun thing that happened was Happy Days premiered on television. You know, there was a big shift, and people were really enjoying more realistic or issued-related TV shows like MASH and All in the Family. Other fun things. Mel Brooks had two great films come out that year. It was a 1-2 punch for him. Blazing Saddles and Young Frankenstein. Both tremendous successes. There were a lot of great things happening in the theaters. And there was an interesting trend happening in music. Okay, yes, Barbra Streisand's The Way We Were was still #1 on the Billboard Top 100s, but it was the beginning of the end of Beatlemania and the beginning of the disco craze. So that was just that little bit of move over. Okay, so like I said, this was a student project of John Carpenter, and the reason it's still around is, well, it didn't do that great in the box office. It wasn't very well poured. It wasn't well received. But what also was happening in just a few years was the VCR rental explosion that would dominate the 80s culture, people renting videos. And this film found its audience there. It became a cult classic through rentals. I look forward to the day where I can convince the local movie house to show Dark Star on the big screen, because I would love to see it on the big screen. This film was audacious. It did things like it actually predicted the future. You know, we're thinking about all the possible dangers that AI is happening right now. Well, the premise of this movie is that there's a spaceship, and it's been sent on a mission to destroy planets that might, or that are unstable and might be a danger to future colonization. So the crew, it's on a 3-year mission, and but because of the way light speed works, it's 20 years have passed back home. And in those, it's been a hard 3 years for these guys too. The ship's falling apart, and this crew, which less than like 6 guys or so, they're pretty much at each other's throat because they're so stir crazy. You know. To say things have, kind of that their headspace hasn't been worn a little thin would be an understatement. It's wonderfully dark. The AI thing I was talking about, the planet busting bombs, they're intelligent. So that's a major plot point. And you can pretty much, I don't want to give away too much, but one of the actors in this film, a guy named Brian Norell, I would later meet him by chance at the first convention I did, which was APE, the Alternative Press Expo in California. And I had just come out with my first book, Comic Critic Presents Seldom Seen Films. And in it was Dark Star, because I had included. And Brian came up, was lifting through, and he says, "Oh, this is great. You put Dark Star in here." Yeah, I love that movie. He says, "Well, I played Doolittle." And I went, no way. So I had to draw a picture of him on the flyleaf during this big scene where he's talking to the bomb. Oh, it was one of the highlights of my first trip, and basically set the tone for all the future science fiction, all the future conventions I would do. I would meet really interesting people, and Brian and I remain friends to this day. We became Facebook buddies, and he's even used some of our cartoons as teaching tools. So, this is a little bit of an understatement to say that I just love Dark Star. Oh, here's something else. The light speed special effects that we all see today when we're watching Star Wars and Star Trek, it was invented in this film. They came out with it first, it was a really clever thing that they did, and everyone. So this is my recommendation for tonight. Watch Dark Star. You can find it on Canopy. It'll be you'll laugh. You'll have a lot of fun. Oh, and when you're looking at fun little factoid, Beach Ball, which is the alien in this film, when you look at his feet might look familiar, and that's because they're the hands from the creature of the Black Lagoon. So, oh man, I just love talking about this film. Anyway, give it a viewing. You'll love it, hopefully as much as I do.